We have one more additional honor this morning, even though it's not appearing on your agenda. This meeting is our first opportunity since 2019 that we've really had an opportunity as an industry to get together where we could come and really extend the celebration of our 40th anniversary. So we're very pleased to be able to come together now and to mark this important milestone. And with that, we're going to recognize someone who's been with the PFA and who has made unprecedented contribution to the flexible polyurethane foam industry for 4 decades. Our legal counsel, Jim. All right. Hey, it all started with a phone call, right? From Cleveland? So Jim McIntyre was on his way to a meeting in Chicago with the foam industry executives who founded PFA to interview for the job of the legal counsel. Instead of Chicago, his plane actually landed in Cleveland because of weather. So Jim called the hotel in Chicago to explain the delay and say he'd be on another plane later in the day. Well, instead, some of the industry's toughest and most colorful characters that we've had, including Dennis Peterson, Don Ballou, Bob Hay, and Lou Peters, they just went ahead and put him on the spot. They interviewed him on the phone. That's a pretty tough way to make a first impression. But he got the job. The PFA was Jim's first client in private practice after leaving government service. Jim has been the PFA's legal counsel ever since. Some of you know Jim's background, but others may not be as aware. So I'm going to take the opportunity to tell you a little bit about the many elements of his remarkable career. James Talmadge McIntyre Jr. was born December 17th of 1940 in Vidalia, Georgia. He received his AA degree from Young Harris College in 1959 and his AB LLB JD degree from the University of Georgia in 1963. He served as general counsel and legal advisor for the Georgia Municipal Association in Atlanta, Georgia from 1966 to 1970. Jim was appointed to the position of Deputy State Revenue Commissioner in 1970. During his time as the State Revenue Commissioner, he was appointed Director of the Office of Planning and Budget for Georgia by then Governor James Earl Carter. President Reagan later appointed him to his commission on privatization. Jim and his wife Maureen had just purchased a 15-acre house farm in Georgia when another phone conversation changed his life. Newly elected President Jimmy Carter called and asked Jim to become part of his cabinet. Jim served as Deputy Director of Office of Management and Budget from January of 77 to September of 77, and then served as Acting Director from September of 77 to March of 78. He was then sworn in as the Director of the United States Office of Management and Budget in March of 78 and served in this capacity until January 20, 1981. After his political career, Jim practiced law with Hansel and Post and later with the Menair Law Firm before founding his current firm, McIntyre and Lemon. Jim has been involved in most major legislation and regulatory changes involving bank insurance powers since 1988. He was involved with the passage of the landmark Graham, Leach, Bliley, and Dodd-Frank Wall Street Reform and Consumer Protection Acts. He authored amicus briefs in the landmark Valak and Barnett Bank case before the U.S. Supreme Court. Jim has also contributed to successful outcomes on bank insurance issues in Colorado, Florida, Illinois, Mississippi, New Mexico, and many other states. Those are all very impressive accomplishments, but I would bet that people in this room would consider what Jim has done for the PFA to be even more impressive. Since the inception of our organization, Jim has guided the PFA through an ongoing series of legal challenges, including flammability, the environment, safety, product performance, and much, much more. He's provided sound advice, excellent insight, and strong advocacy and reputation. I'll take a moment and just mention a few of those highlights and the actions where Jim's work made an astounding impact on our industry. Industry-wide stormwater permitting, which saved individual member companies millions of dollars. Dozens of critical interactions with regulators on key programs, including NESHAP, risk management plans, recycling, and others. The joint industry standards for flexible polyurethane foam performance, the national flammability standard for mattresses, more than 25 years of data on occupational asthma in the FPF industry, flame retardants and flexible polyurethane foam, California TB 117, 2013, and ultimately the national flammability standard for upholstered furniture. There is consensus among the leaders of our industry from the last 4 decades that without the contributions of Jim McIntyre, the flexible polyurethane foam industry would look different, significantly different than it does today, in a way that none of us would enjoy. Even after 40 years, Jim is still going strong and advocating for the industry. And in addition to the PFA, Jim serves as legal counsel for Certipure US and the Carpet Cushion Council. He still enjoys his horses and other animals, and he's still a part of the Committee for the Responsible Federal Budget, a nonpartisan nonprofit organization committed to educating the public on issues with significant fiscal policy impact. You know, it would be easy for me to go on and on, but our industry owes a tremendous debt and gratitude to Jim McIntyre. Jim, if you'll come forward, please. Jim, it is an honor and a pleasure to present this to you.
I really appreciate it. It's quite a surprise.
Yeah, I know.
I had no idea. I started to go back to the room for a few minutes. So. I'm glad I didn't. Well, you know, the most remarkable thing about all those photographs is how brown my hair was. I look back on that and I actually, there was a time when I didn't have gray hair. So that's real remarkable. Look, as Chip said, and thank you very much, Chip, for that sort of history. Brought back a lot of memories. As Chip said, PFA was my first client after I left the government. It was an interesting way to get a client over the telephone, people I did not know. And as Chip said, these were some tough executives that were involved in making that decision. But I also learned one thing, and I respect those people that started this organization. They were tough executives. They were tough competitors, and they helped, I think, put this industry on a solid footing with respect to regulation. This industry was in very precarious position because of flammability issues and then subsequently toxicity issues raised in states like New York. And so those people provided great leadership to the organization. I have known so many of you over the years. I've gotten to know you not only as a business associates, but friends. And it's really been thrilling for me to work with the polyurethane foam industry. Some of the smartest people I've ever met are in this industry. And some of the most foresighted people that I've ever met are in this industry. So thank you so much. I know it's lunchtime. I appreciate all that this organization has done for me, and I've enjoyed working with the organization and all of you in addressing important issues. Thank you.
I know we're way over time, but we do have one person online that wants to share a couple of words to Jim directly. Hamdi, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Hey, there he is from the sky.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Thanks, Chip. I don't really know what to say after this illustrious resume that you've gone through, but the history of Jim and his impact on PFA will be really noticeable over generations. And it is my great honor and distinct privilege to have the opportunity to say a few words and recognize a very special American and congratulate him on his induction to the PFA Hall of Fame. My special colleague and my dear friend, Mr. Jim McIntyre. He has a very special place in my heart. Jim has accumulated over the years a set of assets and talents, and he put all of these assets and talents into the service of customers like the PFA. He is the voice of reason. Regardless if you like what he said or not, he always have evidence-based argument in order to keep us clean. Voice of reason. To define integrity, you just have to say Jim McIntyre. Integrity is something that exudes from his words, his recommendations, and advice. As a trusted counselor with his knowledge of law and unmatchable network, he keeps us out of trouble. Always to put us on the right track without much verbiage. He's a man of the world. When you talk to Jim, he's just not confined himself or opinion to what goes on at PFA or CPI or any of these organizations, but he talks about what's important to the world. And one of the things that many of you may not know, that during his service with President Jimmy Carter, he participated quite significantly as a peacemaker in the Camp David peace treaty between Egypt and Israel. He visited Egypt, and he told me once that he took a picture of President Sadat, but this picture is not really signed by President Sadat. And with his visit to Egypt, he never suffered from the Pharaoh's curse. So he is immune to curses. He's a Washington insider just because of his interest in what goes on in the government and what goes on in terms of the legislation and what would affect an organization like PFA. He is a great speaker. If you look yesterday, he made a presentation with one slide, 5 items on the slide, 5 points, and he spoke for half an hour. How concise can you be? It's just a great speaker. Service to our industry, and I would say that I have learned a great deal. I have enjoyed very much his company and his presence on the executive group for the PFA, and I am honored and privileged to say to Jim, you are my friend, congratulations, and well-deserved recognition. Thank you.
Thank you, Hamdi.